So we've all had moments in our life where we've had a big reaction to something and flew off the handle and got really dramatic and made a big scene perhaps, and just sort of lost control of our emotions. But for some of us, for some people, this is sort of like our natural way of being. Or maybe you're just someone who tends to take yourself a little too seriously. So I'm going to talk about having that tendency towards drama and ways that we can kind of help ground ourselves so that we don't keep going there. Because so often, the way I think of it is, if you're someone who tends to get into drama, I think of those areas that kind of light you up, that spark you and trigger you, as being indicators of a wound that hasn't been healed. And so the way of handling it is to react, is to have big emotional reaction and to have a big response as opposed to staying grounded. So when we immediately have this knee-jerk reaction and say someone says something and then we interpret it as a criticism or a judgment or as something negative about ourselves, and then boom, we have this defensive response or a loud response. And that's telling you, that's indicating that there's something within you that hasn't been healed and it needs your attention, it needs your nurturing, it needs some care, it needs your love so that it can heal. I know from my own experience, certain things that would trigger me were usually that. It was usually something in me that was still this big wound. And that comment that came in, hurt me or made me feel offended or made me feel inadequate and had control over me. So let's look at drama in ourselves or in someone close to us, or maybe a coworker who's very dramatic and always creating stuff at work, as this is an indicator of a wound. And, for ourselves, it can be just like a good diagnostic tool of what needs to be worked on. One thing that can help us with drama is to learn to get perspective on a situation, to learn how to become objective. And I'll tell you, meditation has helped me with that a lot. So when I first started doing meditation a handful of years ago, you're just sitting on a cushion for like 25 minutes and you don't move an inch, you're not supposed to, and you just sit there and breathe, and it was torture. And what it did is it taught me, it brought my awareness to how much crap I'm kicking up in my head, and I'm just inventing all by myself. And because there's nothing to do but sit there and breathe and to watch your thoughts and watch what comes in, and then it goes, and then something comes in, and then that goes. So it was really interesting for me to just become aware of how much junk your mind can create without anything happening in your external environment, just because it's just the monkey mind cranking out stuff. So sometimes someone can say something to us and then we run with it and we ascribe meaning to it. We ascribe a motive to what that person did or said. They think this about me and now I have to defend myself, or they think I'm this and this and I'm not, so I have to defend and I have to explain myself. Well, newsflash, guess what? You don't have to defend or explain shit. You don't have to do a damn thing, because your power is within you. It's not in what someone else says about you or thinks about you, if they think you're wonderful and give you this glowing report, or if they think you're a piece of shit. It doesn't matter. Your point of power is within you. So if you're having big reaction to what someone says, you're giving your power away to them. Not that you don't have any right to feel something in response, but if you keep feeding it, what you're doing is giving power away, power away, power away. Here's my power. Here's my power. You have all this control over me now. You now control my mood. You control how I feel about myself. You control how I feel about my personal worth, all of that. So when you feel yourself starting to cycle up and get all up here, remember, that is where you're giving your power away, and you don't have to. You don't need to. Pull that back to yourself. Pull that power back into your heart. Get back down into your feet. Get grounded again. And then you can let all this other junk happen out here and say, oh, oh, that's interesting. You're kind of like, that's nice you think that, but that's fine. It's sort of like you have this sense of healthy, loving detachment. And to be able to call upon that, especially when things are getting heated, is like a superpower. So when someone's flying off the handle, especially someone close to you, and they're ranting and raving, and if you can just sit there and be calm and just, okay, listen, without reacting. And then after you listen, then calmly respond. So that's something I have found helps a lot, staying grounded. And meditation can help with that, or I mean, that's not the only way. There are other practices you can do that can help you stay more grounded and in the present moment. Along with taking perspective, this is a little thing that I've learned that helps. Consider how rested you are. Consider what's been going on in your life. If you have a lot going on and maybe you have some really, really big things coming up. And I'm reminded of a quote from Lord of the Rings. I think it was the second one, when Aragorn says to Eowyn after she wakes up from having a bad dream, and he says to her, "Night changes many thoughts." I've noticed in myself, maybe a quiet evening and an hour or two before I go to bed, perhaps I've had a great day, but an hour or two before I go to bed and my mood and my outlook just start to go down the toilet. It is sort of like all of a sudden I see myself with this very negative filter. Everything else is negative. Everything else is no good. And I just find fault with everything. And there's all these problems. And I've learned, this sounds very simple, but it's actually quite powerful. I've learned that really what's talking here is tiredness. You're at the end of a long day, and it's best to not give these thoughts and feelings much importance because they're coming from a sense of being tired. It's the end of a day, your energy is just about all used up. The best thing to do is to see it for what it is, and not that it's not worth your time and energy and talking about it and all of that. The best thing to do probably is just to get some rest, get some sleep. You'll feel better in the morning and your attitude will be much, much brighter. It's a small thing, but sometimes our big reactions can happen late at night after our energy is mostly gone and this sort of cloud comes over us and we're in this emotional storm. It's sort of like if you wake up in the middle of the night sometimes and there's just this storm going on in your mind and it's like, whoa, where did this come from? See it for what it is. We're usually not our clearest, unless you're a night owl. We're usually not our clearest and at our best when all of our energy or most of our energy is used up and it's the end of the day and we're just winding down. Sometimes it's okay, but take perspective on the situation, what time of day it is, what your energy levels are, what has happened to you during the day or during that week. Has there been a lot of stress going on? And that may influence your response. That may influence your perspective or your ability to get clear and to stay grounded. So that's just a few thoughts about drama. I will likely do more videos on this in the future, but just wanted to give it a start. I hope that this helped give you some perspective and a couple of tools to deal with flare-ups that happen in your own life, whether in yourself or with someone close to you. I so appreciate you watching, and if you would love to support my channel, please check out the links below this video. They're for yoga gear and TRX gear, but if you purchase even through those links to something else, that would help me out a lot. Or you can go to my homepage, go to the bottom of the homepage, go to my website, scroll down to the bottom of my homepage and there's a PayPal donate button. Even as little as $1 would mean so much to me. Thank you so much for joining me on this journey. I so appreciate it, and I will talk to you soon.